Hi everyone, I want to do this video because I wanted to arm you all, those of you who are going to be around the girls, with just how to deal with things with the girls right now. I'm aware that some of you are going to be with them and they may ask questions that you might find difficult to answer, and so I wanted to tell you what we've said and just help you to do that, and help us to be able to get the girls through everything that is going on. So not yesterday but the day before, we spoke to the girls about Ross and we told them that he's going to die. The way we did this was Ross and me and the girls were in the room at the hospital. The girls sat at the bottom of the bed and I said to the girls, you know that Daddy's not been very well. The girls have been aware of this since August, mostly. I mean, I know it's been all of Texie's life, and mostly Brookie's, but they haven't really been aware of it. You know how well Ross hasn't been that noticeable, other than when we had to explain surgery. So they have been aware, and they have talked endlessly with me on an evening. When they're going to bed, they've asked questions, they've talked to Ross, they've asked him questions, and we've always been honest. Brooke's only ever once asked whether he could die of this, and I told her honestly that yes, he could. That was a long time ago, and I know Brooke has known that since then. The reason that we decided it was the right time, Brooke has been asking lots of questions, lots of leading questions, and we felt, certainly me and Becky, who have been around her most over the last few weeks, that she was going to ask that and that we needed to do it in the right way. I spoke to Jeff Brazier, who is Jade Goody's baby's dad. Jade Goody was, some of you know who she is, but she was on Big Brother, and her death was quite documented. She had ovarian cancer and her children were 4 and 5 at the time, so very, very similar. So I spoke to Jeff on the phone the other day, and he gave me his own experience, and he's since written a book on grief and how they've got through things, and is a life coach and knows a lot about it. And he told me it was the right thing to do before, so that the girls have the opportunity to speak to Ross, to tell him things that they need to tell him, to say sorry for things they need to say sorry for, to draw in pictures, to have their own way of grieving. As adults, we are already grieving. Grief isn't just about somebody dying. Grief is about the loss of a life that you wanted, and none of us wanted this life where Ross was ill, and so we are all feeling that grief already. And so, in respect to the children, to allow them to go through the process of grieving and sadness, we had to do it now. The other thing is that, unlike Jade, where she was dying of cancer that was ovarian and her brain was fine, Ross's brain is deteriorating. We've actually had a very good patch with him with this treatment that they've given him. Mannitol has given him more clarity, and I think that while he's like this and as clear as he is, it was the right time to do it. He was at least able to offer comfort and things, and wasn't doing it in a weird way or saying the wrong things that might be inappropriate. And the girls cried their eyes out, as you can imagine, asked questions like, will I have another dad? Which obviously I said, you will never have another dad. Ross, that is your daddy. They asked, what would I be there? And they asked, questions where they wanted to know about their own security. And I wanted to discuss with you what we've said about life after death. So neither me or Ross believes in God. However, I am more than happy for Brooke and Texas to believe whatever they need to believe to get them through. So I haven't ever imposed my view on that. The girls know I don't, because we've talked endlessly for the last few years about this. Children ask questions about life and death in general, but I have always said my belief is that there isn't anything after death, that we live on in memories. And I always say that there's an energy that is left, because energy is endless, and there's always feels like there's maybe a presence of somebody around, because energy is continuous, which is scientific, and it's, I guess, a bit of a Buddhist belief, but I don't believe in reincarnation or anything like that. But that, I always say it's my opinion. And that I've always said to particularly Brooke, who understands that more, I've always said We have no idea, and it's open to interpretation, and everyone will have their own thoughts on that. In this particular instance, we haven't spoken about this now. I thought it was too much for them to discuss that, obviously, but that will come up over the next few weeks, and we will discuss it with them, and I will ask them, and I was advised to do this by Jeff as well, what they believe happens when people die. When my grandma died recently, it gave us a taste of what they might say, and Brooke said something quite poetic and beautiful, and something I would more than agree with and go with. And she said that when somebody dies, the love that is in them goes to the people that are left behind who love them, and they live on in the love. And actually, I think that's pretty spectacular and grown up and beautiful, and I'd be more than happy for her to go with that if that's what works for her. So the reason I want to tell you this is that you all have your own beliefs on that, and what I would ask is that you do not, if you are religious, in whatever religion you are in, do not impose your views on the girls. Do not tell them this is where people go, as it's factual. Whatever your belief, do not do that, because it is not your right to do that, and you are not right. You are in your own beliefs, and that's fine for you to have them, but don't impose them. I'm more than happy for you to say, this is what I believe, but other people believe other things. I don't want people putting their own thoughts in the girl's head, because it's confusing, and none of us, whatever your beliefs on that are, none of us knows what happens, and they need to find it in their own space, and what works for them, not what works for you. So if they ask that, you can say, well, we don't know, but this is what I believe. However, other people don't believe that. What do you think? That would be, for me, the right approach, and then the girls can interpret it in their own ways, and whether they come up with something that works for both of them or they have separate views, I allow them to do that. What I didn't want is you to be shocked that the girls know, and that the girls, particularly Brooke, probably not Texas, but Brooke will say to you, have you heard the sad news, Dad's going to die? And for a lot of you, that's going to be a bomb drop. The way to respond to that would just be to say, yes, Brooke, I know, and it's really sad, and we're really sad about it. And then we've always just focused on the love that is around now, and we say, but look how many people are around us, we're so lucky, and people love us very much, and you're so loved, and you will be okay, and we just focus on the right now and the good. Brooke finds writing and drawing very therapeutic. Texie playing with a doll is her thing. That seems to help her to just zone out. The girls have also got these worry monster teddies that they put bits of their worries, they write down and put it in its mouth, and it chews them up, and that's another thing that works for them. Lots of cuddles is always important. What else have we said? So yeah, it's just the girls, it will come in. What I've said to them as well is that this will come in waves. Now, for you guys, some of you will feel emotionally sad and want to cry, and don't hold that back. If you need to cry in front of the girls, please don't hold that back. That is your grief, and they need to see that people are sad, because it's weird otherwise if everybody's trying to pretend it's not happening and they don't feel sad ever. If you feel the need to cry around the girls, please don't feel that you can't, because that's not normal. And actually, we need to allow them to know that crying is okay, and that feeling angry is sometimes okay, and that all of these emotions that they're bottling inside, if they see us doing the same and they see us bottling them, then they'll think they have to do that. And Brooke actually said to me when I told her, I'll be brave, mummy, and I said, no, darling, you do not have to be brave. You're crying, and I will cry, and we can just feel how we feel. We don't have to pretend. We're sad. We don't want this to happen. We wish it wasn't happening. And so I just don't want you to feel like you have to pretend if you don't feel like pretending. That's not what I've done with the girls, and it's not, I've said to them, it's okay to feel happy outside of it. You don't have to feel guilt for wanting to draw and colour and laughing, because Daddy wouldn't want you to feel like that. And yeah, none of it, there's no wrong answer to it. Like, there's no wrong feeling when it's coming, when you're losing somebody that you love, there's no wrong way. If the girls ask questions that you're not sure how to answer, please just message me. I'd rather that you felt armed with the right answers than felt, accosted and unsure and also confusing to the girls. we're not using words like going to sleep or going away or passed away. We're saying that Ross will die. Now, we're not saying we don't know a time, so we can't say that. We're just saying, you know, we hope we have him for as long as possible, but while he's here, we will love him, and we will do whatever it takes to, you know, to be around him and love him and support him. And obviously, because we don't know anything more, and we just, that's what we're focused on. But we say the words die, not, and death, not, you know, do not give them, we hope it's not going to happen, because that's not true, and that would be really unfair, because that would be unraveling everything that we've done to this point. So please don't do that, even though it's confusing. If you need to practice it first in your mind before you see the girls, because Brooke will say that to you, but she's also very matter-of-fact. Children are very matter-of-fact about things, so you can then go and do drawing with her. You know, she wrote in her worry monster that she didn't want Dad to die, but her other one was, I don't want to colour outside the lines. That's a children's mind, so just remember that. I hope this doesn't sound like any kind of like telling off. I just want to make sure that we're like all on the same page, and that you don't feel, you know, worried that you can't say things around the girls. We are very open. The girls know what is happening. Texas is a lot more withdrawn because she doesn't understand in the same detail that Brooke does, and she is saying, I don't want Daddy's bed to be downstairs, because that's what she associates with what's going on. That's her way of saying that's what she's feeling. We just have to love them and cuddle them and cuddle each other and love each other, and that's all that we can really do. This is painful for all of us, and I'm saying this matter of fact right now because I feel quite numb, but in the next breath I could cry my eyes out. So it's, you know, it comes in waves for all of us. I just want to try and make sure we can protect the girls as much as possible, and I know that you guys are all on board, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this. So thanks very much, and thanks so much for your support. Speak to you soon. Peace.